Hello, I'd like to talk to you today about 3 of my Christmas cantatas. Each of these are broadly the same length, about half an hour, and each is accompanied by either an instrumental group or a keyboard. But they're very different in their approach to Christmas, so I thought it might be useful just to talk a little bit about each one in turn. The first one is really an Advent cantata, suitable for the weeks leading up to Christmas. The second one I'm going to talk about is more of a specific Christmas cantata, focused particularly on Christmas carols and melodies that audiences will recognise. And the third cantata is also for Christmas, but it's a completely secular cantata. So let's start with the Advent cantata. This is called O Come Emmanuel, and as you might guess musically, it's very much based on the well-known O Come Emmanuel melody. But it's also structured around the 7 O antiphons, which are used in all the verses of the O Come Emmanuel hymn. To these I've added settings of a number of Advent texts and incorporated well-known Advent hymns too. So just to get a flavour of it, you can hear the hymn Joy to the World in the background. And now, here's a setting of a lovely poem, There is a Rose Tree Blooming, for unaccompanied choir, and that's sung here by the Chapel Choir of Selwyn College, Cambridge, director Sarah MacDonald. And lastly, from this cantata, a setting of the 17th century poem Chanticleer, which proclaims the birth of Christ joyfully, but also with mystery. So moving on now to the second cantata, A Light in the Stable. This tells the familiar Christmas story with a blend of original settings and well-known carols, with optional gospel readings or other readings, and with the opportunity for the audience or congregation to join in some of the carols. So when I was writing this, I wanted to write something in which the audience felt at home with the traditional carols, but also to bring something new to the Christmas mix. And as I was writing it, I discovered how some of those familiar carols would fit together. I found, for example, that Go Tell It on the Mountain fits with While Shepherds Watched, and also that the 2 versions of Away in a Manger, the American version and the English version, also fit together. And throughout the piece I've used the traditional Of Our Maker's Love Begotten hymn, and that appears combined with other material during the piece. In the background you can hear that introductory section which uses that melody. And then later on, you can hear the same melody transformed into an unaccompanied movement, A Light for Today, which gently describes the nativity scene. and the singers here are Vocal Essence of Minneapolis, conducted by Philip Brunel. That plain song melody on which it's based, of the Maker's Love Begotten, is actually called Divinum Mysterium, the Divine Mystery. And then earlier in the cantata, here is my new setting of the words As Joseph Was a-Walking. And now we'll leave this cantata with my lively arrangement of the traditional French carol Il est né, He is born. So both of those cantatas are published by Oxford University Press, available on sale and on hire, and they can be performed with organ or piano accompaniment, or by a chamber group or small orchestra. Now the third piece that I'd like to talk about is A Feast for Christmas, which I describe as a seasonal celebration. This is a secular concert piece, welcoming the festive character of Christmas, and it has an optional children's choir, as well as the normal SATB choir. It includes movements about how to make Christmas pudding, how to prepare the Christmas dinner, a poignant grace for the young people, and also a vivid description of the pulling of Christmas crackers. And it ends with the opportunity for the audience to join in with We Wish You a Merry Christmas. You can hear part of the last movement in the background, sung by the South Chiltern Choral Society, conducted by Gwyn Arch. But before that, the pudding is stirred, there's an unaccompanied movement in which describing a complex 19th century recipe for Christmas dinner, starting with take a large olive, stone it and stuff it with a paste made of anchovies, capers and oil. And then by halfway through we're putting it in a saucepan with onions and cloves, carrots, celery, small squares of ham, parsley, bay leaves, black peppercorns. Finally, we put it in the oven for up to 10 hours. Then, just before the meal, the grace is sung by the young people.
Thank you for the friends we meet. Thank you for the bonds that sing. And thank you, loving Lord, for everything.
So then follows the Christmas dinner itself, but there's no music for that because it's rather impolite to sing while you're eating. So after the meal we have a song about Christmas crackers. So overall, there's much for your audience and your choir, I hope, to enjoy. A Feast for Christmas is scored for mixed choir and optional children's choir and optional narrator with either piano, brass quintet or string quintet. I think the brass version probably works best. It's available direct from my website, both as printed copies or as a PDF download, and I also have some copies to hire as well. So I hope you've enjoyed hearing about these 3 cantatas, each with different purposes, though all of them focusing on the joy and wonder of the Christmas season. Please don't hesitate to look on my website or email me if you'd like to know more about these pieces. Thank you for listening.
You